Joining me now is West Virginia Congressman Riley Moore. Congressman, thank you so much for being here. I want to get your thoughts on this, the squabbling that's happening. Certainly we need more spending cuts, but they're hard to sell to the American people, and that's what some lawmakers are worried about.
Well, Jackie, thanks so much for having me. And certainly, look, I think it's hard for the Senate to sell to themselves. I mean, but I would say there's a lot of tough talk there on the other side of the chamber for a body that passed a budget resolution with $4 billion in cuts. We just did $1.6 trillion over on our side. So the reality is we obviously have the path. We have the great bill, the great, big, beautiful bill that we passed here. It's $1.6 trillion in cuts. There's a lot of fallacies out here. Currently, you're seeing people defend the CBO numbers on this. I'm not sure when Republicans started defending CBO, but I'm certainly not in that camp. We're talking about extending the current tax policy, according to CBO, is going to add to the deficit. That's just gimmick accounting. That is not true. Just extending the current tax policy is not going to add a penny to the deficit. This is the biggest cut in American history in mandatory spending and the biggest welfare reform. This bill, by the way, has $150 billion in it for border security and deportation and immigration, which I can't highlight enough how much we need that right now, given this illegal immigrant who was here from Egypt that just did a terrorist attack in Colorado. The time is now. National security is on the table. We've got to pass this bill.
You've got the extension of the tax cuts. You've got the new tax cuts that President Trump promised some of the American people that they were excited about. You've got the border spending. You've got defense. You've got energy. He really is trying to focus and reverse a lot of the policy of the Biden era that was difficult for this country to swallow. But meantime, you've got the Trump administration intensifying its visa crackdown on Chinese students as well. This is after several incidents of federal charges brought against them at American universities. Maria spoke with Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem about Harvard's ties with China and the Communist Party. Watch this.
They've allowed their students to participate in activities that are paramilitary activities and supported them and feeding information back to our enemy, which is Communist China. In fact, even the leader, Xi Jinping, of China's daughter has a degree from Harvard. And hundreds of thousands of these foreign students have come into our country. And our universities have facilitated it because they pay full tuition. They've taken away opportunities from our American students. Harvard has talked a game to where now they say they want to comply with the requirements of our foreign student programs. They absolutely have not. They have not followed the rules of the program, the vetting processes of these students, giving us the information on their criminal background checks, what they may have done to break the law in their country or here or promote violence on campus, and they won't comply. Therefore, they will not get to participate. These ties to China are deeply alarming, and they're not just Harvard. There's other universities. We're going through every single one of them.
Congressman, President Trump has called Harvard out, and the university has been defiant. Your reaction?
Well, I mean, this is why I introduced the Stop the CCP Visa Act, which I actually announced on this show, which would eliminate all student visas for Chinese nationals. We currently have 300,000 Chinese nationals in our country on student visas. There's no reason that we should be doing this. I don't recall back during the Cold War handing out hundreds of thousands of visas to the Soviet Union. The Chinese passed a national security law in 2017 stating that all citizens, no matter where they are, must be part of the intel gathering process and feed back that information to the CCP, not to mention the scholarship program that the CCP has set up. And part of that requirement for those students to get those scholarships is they have to have loyalty to the CCP, and they also have to have a certain field of study that is going to benefit the Chinese Communist Party and the nation of China writ large. Why we are doing this to ourselves, I'm not exactly sure, but I do have a piece of legislation, one of the first ones I introduced, actually announced on this program, to stop this. We have to stop this because it's harming us. And universities, look, they can love foreign money if they want. I love the American people, and that's where my interests lie in the end of the day.
Liz, jump in.
So, Congressman, Republicans are getting a little restless that President Trump and the White House is having to push his agenda pretty much on his own. We've not really seen Congress codify, that's kind of the new word, much of DOGE cuts and other things that Trump White House is trying to get done. I think your bill actually would be very, very helpful. What is the chance that that actually is going to be pushed forward and that Congress might act on that?
Well, I'm very hopeful to be pushed forward, and I do have members of the Judiciary Committee on the bill, which is the committee that would have to mark it up. Obviously, we have a great chairman over there, Jim Jordan. So I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to push on this. Another executive order piece of legislation that I have specifically relates to the reciprocal tariffs and the tariffs that the president has laid out there on different nations trying to rebalance the trade deficit. And what it would do is alleviate that requirement to be able to put tariffs on without a national emergency declaration, which is what they're fighting about in the courts right now. So obviously, I want to see these executive orders codified as well. On the DOGE cuts, though, I do want to point something out very important. It's not going to be in the big, beautiful bill because that only deals with mandatory spending. This week, we are going to get a rescission package from the White House that is going to start implementing these DOGE cuts. I'm a member of the House Appropriations Committee. We're starting our budget process in which that's where you're going to see a lot of those DOGE cuts as well.
Congressman, we appreciate your hard work in the House and your time this morning. Congressman Riley Moore, thank you.
Thank you so much.